Dragon's Wall by Nefertiti. Thousands of years ago, in China, the people lived in harmony until one day a dragon struck the world dead. The day changed when we heard this. I was only 13 at the time, and the death memory has lived with me since. The people scrambled and fled the town, including our mother. We watched some of them run away, muttering something about a curse. There were 3 of us. I'm Elowen, and my sisters are Audrey and Victoria. Our dad is a fisherman who doesn't return and leave us until the weekdays. But since there were many fish in the summer, the old man rubbed our necks as a goodbye. As our dad was leaving the door, we grabbed his arms and legs, and he cuddled us one more time and left the house, leaving the door ajar. Then, this event happened on a Saturday afternoon. After lunch at my uncle's cafe, I greeted my aunt. I grabbed what seemed like a dozen fortune cookies and stuffed them in my pouch for my sisters and I. I still remember Victoria leaning on the fence, while my grandmother was knitting with golden thread. We were collecting Chinese medicine and herbs. It was peaceful until an existence from 1,000 miles hit hard on the ground. I fell, crushing the fortune cookies under me. There were 9 cookies that said how great your life would be, and another one, which I read the last. Beware, your life is in danger. Tell nothing to anyone. Run away and leave. Heart pounding, I dropped the fortune and peeked over the hills of cotton and silkworm bushes. There stood a flying scaled snake. Shock waved over me. It was almost like the legend our grandma had told us about. According to the legend, this creature, which was a dragon, which in Talisma we call it Eroxida, a legendary creature for many generations, people have scared spirited dragon by lighting firecrackers. However, nowadays people don't sell firecrackers, but unfortunately this fortune was real. Dashing to the cottages, the villagers rushed about, looking the opposite of excited, and I even saw a man quiver. The dragon was ferocious. It was ravenous, with perilous claws and mighty wings, his nails digging deep into the earth. Its body was the color of gold, with a lot of other colorful scales. As told, it could breathe fire and sword cut into the 7 seas and the heaven. For generations, the people took down the colorful scales of Eroxida to use as a fire that would never wear out. Eroxida would sleep for 2 years. The nomad traveled 6 years in the snowy Alps on the Himalayas. Eroxida cursed them, and after 100 years, she would come back and haunt the 20th generation. That was the last time they had seen Eroxida. Time passed, and the event became a story, and the story became a legend. But somehow I recognized this dragon before. I once fell in a deep sleep and found myself living with my ancestors, the nomads. Just like a flash, the villagers were quick on the draw, and suddenly figures with catapults surrounded us. I called and screamed for my sisters. They were missing. A piercing scream filled my ears, and there went a large chomp. The sudden darkness lit the sky, patting it with calefaction flames, making holocaust, starting a conflagration. There were scorching hot fire cannons, oversized rocks, and death bombs. Time was flying. I could hear people dying every few minutes. Suddenly, an idea hit me. Since the sun was starting to set in the west, I could use a shiny plate to reflect the sunlight, and perhaps it would scare the dragon away. When I found my sisters, I saw Victoria crying and Audrey looking guilty, and she explained that our aunt had been the familiar scream I heard earlier. I tried to bite my lips and not cry or stagger while I heard this. I followed them to our cottage, but as if Eroxida was watching, her tail swung hard on our house. My toys, my painting, my collection of stamps, all gone. Broken-hearted, I tried the best I could push around for any glass or plate that could have been fully damaged, but I was wrong. Everything was wrecked. I decided to give up hope. I was wandering around until I found my mother's jewelry box. Unfortunately, the smart woman decided to take all her jewelry before running off and away from home. We sat down on my mother's bed, imagining if she was still here, comforting us in the middle of the chaos. I sat on her dressing chair and hid my face in my arms. And then I heard another scream, and then another. I jumped up from the table and leaned toward the window, hoping there were more people left, but it seemed like the dragon was invincible. I gingerly stepped away from the bed and slowly backed away, and then I tripped over a long string. It shone bright in the sunset. It was soft and golden, like Grandma's knitting ball. Silently, I took the key and locked my sisters in the room. I could hear the cries of confusion, their fists banging on the door, their shouts and pleas. Audrey, Victoria, stay in there. As I sensed, their heads were pressing on the door as I ran away. As soon as I reached Eroxida, I swallowed. She was 180 meters tall and flaming red eye that could burn you less than a minute. So I called to her, Eroxida, catch this golden ball and you can have our kingdom of power and loyalty. And with that, I threw the ball as hard as I could in the direction of the west. Eroxida chased the knitting ball. Her sharp tail slashed a painful cut on me that made me fall back. The ball ran over hills and fell downwards. Eroxida mistakenly seen the sun and chased it, and she chased it until she saw the golden ball fell towards earth. Mistakenly thought that the sun was the ball, and she dug down towards earth, her scale disappearing with them, and she was fooled. I rolled over and then I went still and couldn't move. I also felt a pang of pain and glanced down at my body. A huge cut had sliced from my ribcage down my waist and to the middle of my thigh. Suddenly I heard 2 pairs of running feet and instantly felt Audrey hug me close and Victoria's head on my waist. It happened so fast. I heard my uncle shout at the village doctor. I watched as it bled and I said my last words. My finger pointed to the direction of the dragon, and my last words were, "Watch the dragon's wall." And as soon as that, I hit the ground and died with blood pooled around me. And so, even to this day, the villages keep watch for the dragon, and every 2 years a small tower appears where Eroxida wakes up. When most people see the Great Wall, they think of the great emperor, Qin Shi Huang, but people look differently because there is a reason behind everything and a reason to build it. Archaeologist Maxina Trevotabor has recently discovered that golden string had been formed and linked throughout the whole Great Wall, like a twisting collar. And that's how the Great Wall was made, along with the painting of how the dragon's always chasing the sun.